This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. Hi, I'm mark-alyn, and during the next 2 hours, we're going to take a look at a variety of different health-related topics that can relate to each and every one of us, from spirituality, because being spiritual has scientifically been shown to improve health, to talking about niacin and how niacin can actually improve blood pressure, sexual prowess, and all kinds of things. That'll happen in hour 2. We'll wrap up today's show with Barbara Valentine from the 50 Plus Report. Visit the50plusreport.com for more information on that. Really lots of great information on that website, including my picture.
There's reason enough to go right there, I'm telling you.
Absolutely. So we'll be talking to Barbara during hour 2, and hopefully Barbara will pop in a little bit during this hour as well. We go now to Hawaii, where we're going to spend some time with Lyric-Benson-Fergusson. She has written a book called, and I'm really reading this, folks, I didn't make this up, Lyric did, French Kissing God, A Journey to Enlightenment. Lyric, is that because you want everybody to be intimate with God?
That's a beautiful question. And yes, I think that it's very important that people begin to experience their own divinity and God, the self being, as something that you can have a remarkably close and intimate relationship with like you would with a lover, with your best friend. And yeah, that's basically it. It's just trying to wake people up to the experience that you can be as close to God as you can to anyone on this earth.
I want to mention your upbringing. You grew up in a show business family. Your father is Robbie Benson, director, voiceover guy. I wish I had those, the beast.
He was the beast.
He was the beast. Is he still the beast? Anyway.
If you ask him to be.
He will be, right?
Yes.
Were you raised in a particularly religious or spiritual household or not?
No, it was very interesting. My parents, they're amazingly moral people. My father actually is the most righteous, moral human being I think I've ever met. But my mom grew up, and she was a Catholic. My dad grew up kind of a secular Jew. And so, there just was no particular religious or spiritual upbringing in the house at all. We just, the main thing was just be good to one another, and that was the base rule. So I didn't have any upbringing like that.
What was the light switch that turned on in your life?
Well, it was a couple of things, actually. I was at college at New York University during September 11th, and a dear family friend of ours passed away in one of the buildings. She worked for Cantor Fitzgerald, and I was very close with her husband. And so for the first time in my life, I experienced death very, in my face, and seeing so much suffering in New York City after that happened. And it makes that light switch inside you turn on. What is the purpose of life? And I also was having a lot of health challenges. I was always sick. My father has had 4 open heart surgeries in his life for a congenital heart defect. There were just many different things. Your
father is young.
Yeah, he had his first one at 28.
Oh, my.
So, yeah.
Wow. You spent, I believe it was close to 10 years meditating?
Yes, yeah. I lived as a celibate monk for about a decade. After that happened, I learned Transcendental Meditation, which helped a lot of my health problems. And then I just really dove within, and I would spend 8 to 10 hours a day in meditation or prayer. The rest of my day was also mostly in silence. I would go for walks in nature. I would cook my food, but besides that, I was mostly in meditation.
How? I try to meditate, and if you're not a regular meditator, it's difficult. But to get, 10 or 15 minutes, maybe even a half hour in a day is difficult. This fast-paced lifestyle that we live in.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. When I first learned Transcendental Meditation, which is actually, it's an effortless technique. I'm very lucky. I believe that there are many amazing techniques out there, but this is just what I practice. And so I thought there's no way I could sit with my eyes closed for 20 minutes, which is what you learn in the beginning. And then they taught me, and I closed my eyes, and I was gone. and 20 minutes later, they said, "Now open your eyes," and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Wow.
So yeah, it's very effortless. It's a mantra technique, and it's not about controlling the mind. It's really just a very blissful and powerful technique that's been proven to improve people's health, many things besides just improve their spiritual life. So.
Our guest is Lyric-Benson-Fergusson, the author of French Kissing God, and I'm changing the instead of a journey to enlightenment, I'm changing that, okay? I'm changing that to an intimate visit with God, an intimate experience with God, because that's what I got from looking at the book.
Yes, yeah, that is, what I would do is, of course, not during my meditations, but when I would come out and I'd take times in silence, I would just sit with God. I'd sit with the divinity that was resonating inside of me and around me, and I would write poetry and write love songs to that wholeness that I was having this love affair with. And so that's how the book came about.
Wow. And I think there's an album with it? Or
Well, yeah, there is an album that is based on my poetry. It's called Lyrics, Love, Light, Revolution. And you can find it on iTunes. I co-wrote it with my father, Robbie Benson, and my mom, Carla DeVito, used to sing with Meatloaf. And so she also co-produced it. And it's just the three of us. My father plays all the guitar on it, and it's a fun rock and roll-y album that is also a journey in its own way of enlightenment and the self, and it's unique spiritual music.
Well, your poetry has been called Romanesque. Is that what?
Oh, Rumi-esque.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was doing a theater version of that, and was obviously wrong. What does Rumi mean?
Well, Rumi is it's actually a huge compliment. Rumi is one of the great mystic poets. He's a Sufi master from hundreds of years ago, and great translators like Coleman Barks and Daniel Ladinsky have brought his work to the Western world recently. And all of his poetry is that same mystic, playful, intimate relationship with the divine and the spiritual journey that every human being who's on any kind of religious or spiritual path can relate to. Those ups and downs and those moments where God is not present and those moments where it's so present that you're just overwhelmed with bliss.
I have so many thoughts here, and do you have children now?
No, I just got married, though.
Congratulations.
Thank you. No kids yet, but
Well, keep practicing.
okay. Yeah,
and we want to make your parents, grandparents. What I'm curious about: will you raise your children in a more spiritual home than you were raised?
Well, I think just naturally it will be so. My husband also was a monk for about 5 years, so we have a lot in common. And so I think just our day-to-day lives are that constant, devotional worship and inward experience of the divine that can't help but affect our environment. But I believe very strongly that every soul has to find their own path. And so there'll be nothing in my house like, you have to meditate now, or you have to do it this way. I want them to find it for themselves, because that's how you make it. You bring it home. That's how you make it a part of your soul, is if you find it yourself and it's not just dogma.
We're going to take a break shortly, and when we come back from that break, will you give us some guidance so that each one of us here in the studio, as well as our listeners, can help start on that spiritual path?
Oh, I'd love to. That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. That would be great. We're going to turn you back into that monk for a little bit, I guess. And as the other thing that I'm curious about, because I'm such a talker, you probably noticed that, I don't know if I could shut up for 10 hours a day. Daryl, you want to weigh in on that?
You could not.
No. I couldn't. It's true. I'm Mark-Alyn, and this is Late Night Health. Join us at late-night-heath.com. And if you go to late-night-heath.com and look under L for Lyric, under our guest tab, you'll see a beautiful picture of Lyric. You'll also see a copy of the cover of the book, French Kissing God, A Journey to Enlightenment. Lyric and I will be back as Late Night Health continues. Visit us at Facebook.com/LateNightHealth, where our friend Kevin Stern keeps us all up to date on what's happening here at Late Night Health. Don't go away, more coming up.